Now, the United Nations and other agencies in Nigeria involved in humanitarian work marked the Humanitarian Day in honor of aid workers all over the world.
It was also specifically dedicated to humanitarian workers who died in the course of duty. Moyo Thomas has this report.
To mark the International Humanitarian Day, humanitarian workers and emergency professionals gathered for an early morning walk and light exercises to commemorate the importance of aid workers, especially women in the field. This year's celebration is focused on female aid workers. Women have been at the receiving end of humanitarian service as victims of war and also targets in providing succor. Nigeria still mourns the death of Saifura Hussaini, Hamed Kosa, and Hawa Muhammad Liman, all midwives with ICRC abducted and killed by Boko Haram in Ran, Borno State. Faye Muni, a British national who works with Mercy Corps, was also killed in Kaduna State. The critical message being put forward for this year's World Humanitarian Day is enough of attacks on aid workers, especially women caregivers.
The crisis as we currently have it in the northeast, and that is Borno, Adamawa and Yobe, is mainly characterized by women and children as the face of the vulnerability. 80% of the population is women and children, and that brings a very strong gender dimension.
Women have a vital role in peace support operations. Apart from belonging to the vulnerable group, they are also victims. So for a woman to step out and support humanitarian operations, she must be a strong black woman.
The Northeast conflict that started 10 years ago with no end in sight have claimed the lives of 37 aid workers.
Humanitarian emergencies are on the increase. For the past 10 years, we have seen more emergencies resulting in a lot of displacements. You have humanitarian emergencies, there are people who care, and these people are the humanitarians that we are remembering today.
Mainstreaming of gender in humanitarian action to ensure that women and children who are most affected are catered for. Special provisions should be made.
It is expected that raising awareness on the work of humanitarians and their importance will bring an end to all forms of attacks on them. Moyo Thomas, TVC News, Abuja.
All right, joining me now from Abuja is Peter Ekayu, the Deputy Head of Office, United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs in Nigeria. It's good to have you join me right now, Peter. Now, can you walk us through the emphasis on women this year when we're commemorating World Humanitarian Day? We've seen and agreed that certainly women have been on the receiving end to a great extent. Can you walk us through this so we can be refreshed on this?
Thank you so much for having me on this morning. And well, as you highlighted in the program as part of the background, women have paid a huge price, and some of them have paid the ultimate price. We have lost a number of women humanitarians who have been killed as part of the crisis in the northeast, that is in Borno, Adamawa and Yobe. We still have a number of our colleagues who are still in captivity. The price can't be more higher than that. They are paying the ultimate price with their own lives. But then there is the other dimension to it that we're actually trying to highlight, that women bring a unique perspective to the response as humanitarian workers. As you rightly indicated, over 80% of the affected population is comprised of women and children. And it is important that actually women are in the forefront as fast responders, as part of the fast responders, to ensure increased access to the differentiated needs of especially women and girls. Women bring that perspective that they only can bring in terms of promoting access to critical services such as sexual reproductive health, such as antenatal care. You're looking at antenatal care, you're looking at services on providing care and support to pregnant women, to mothers, and many other services that cannot be provided if you have a mainly male-dominated response. So this is some of the dimensions that we celebrate. The other element is that women bring us significant added value in terms of their perspective in leadership as well. And we have seen strong leaders, women leaders, ensuring that the response is people-centered. The response ensures a more humane and people-centered approach.
All right,
so
Peter, let me interrupt you a little here and then ask this question. The point is, let's focus a little on the issue of preventing what really happened, or preventing humanitarian workers from falling victim in war zones and very difficult terrains. What more can we do, even governments and individuals, in ensuring that there's a minimized level of those who fall victim?
Thank you so much. First, as the United Nations, we take every measure, security of our staff, United Nations and all the humanitarian community, and that includes international NGOs and national NGOs. We take security very critically in terms of protecting our staff who deploy in the field. We ensure that there are minimum security measures in place to ensure that the safety of our staff once they deploy. And part of this within the northeast in the states in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe, we have what we call our humanitarian hubs. We have created humanitarian hubs across the state, especially in Borno, where humanitarians can be able to live and also to work in a secure environment. We also try to ensure that humanitarians, there is a security management system in which they are able to effectively, we can effectively respond to any attack or any risks to humanitarian. We do security risk assessments. We work collaboratively with the government to ensure that no humanitarian is put in harm's way. So we try as much as possible. There are significant mitigation measures that we put in place to ensure that humanitarian workers are protected. We provide as much as possible all the minimum provisions in terms of communication and equipment that ensures safety of staff as long as they do work for us.
All right, Peter Ekayu, the Deputy Head of Office, United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, Nigeria. Thank you very much for talking to us on TVC Breakfast.
And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.